So this is the Justice for Baby Angel Geronimo editions, part A of the KhoodeelaarTV campaign, campaigning for justice for Baby Angel Geronimo. And this is in the context of the role played by the newspapers, collectively called Fleet Street. And Fleet Street newspapers have repeated the lies peddled against Baby Angel Geronimo by the UK central government department, so-called, abbreviated to DEFRA. And all the newspapers, including the Murdoch-controlled scum, which did carry the exclusive item byline to a man called Stanley Johnson. And the headline or the heading to that piece included the three words, random murderous errand, that the DEFRA department has indulged in for the last 4 years. And the publication by the Mail on Sunday of the completely ignorant and corrupt and criminally contemptuous piece by Nigel Lawson's son, Dominic Lie's son, and typical broadcasting outlets, local outlets called, like the one not far from Geronimo's home in South Gloucestershire, Bristol Lies. Now, we have called the Boris Johnson-fronted cabal evil cabal, because Johnson has been complicit in the propaganda, lying propaganda against Baby Angel Geronimo. So today, Monday the 20th of September 2021, Johnson is being featured on the front page of the daily bribing Boris Johnson graph, also known as the Daily Telegraph, as allegedly claiming that history will judge us. The congenital liar Johnson is being painted as a almost morally aware philosopher. Now, Johnson is a liar, congenital liar, careerist liar. And Johnson has never, ever, as far as I can tell, has never, ever even referred to anything to do with morality, ethics, transparency, accountability, let alone compassion, kindness. So, therefore, the daily Boris graph promoting or peddling him as somebody who is even remotely aware of the consequences of actions by governments. And Johnson is to press US to open up for UK visitors. Now this is the complete and utter kind of contradiction of this slogan that the liar Johnson actually spewed, taking back control. Now this one is saying that he's going to press Biden, the US president, to open up for UK visitors. Not taking back control, is it? And the same daily bribing Boris Johnson graph has got the piece by this Sikh Timothy. Sikh Timothy was the Nick Timothy, who was one of the two-member team of nasties that constituted Theresa May's inner kind of circle when she was in post incumbent as the Prime Minister in the UK. Now, Sikh Timothy says, with AUKUS, global Britain is taking shape. Now, this is completely corrupt and criminal and factually false. I mean, Australia is not even in Asia, is it? Australia is the other side of the world. To go to Australia and to form this nuclear kind of alliance with the USA and Australia is not taking back control, and not most certainly global Britain, is it? Because in Europe, which has nothing to do with any European Union or whatever, in Europe, which is geographically the nearest to the UK, the business, the day-to-day business is with the continent. It's not with Australia. It can never be. It will never be. Nor will it be with the USA. And that is nothing to do with the independence of Britain. It's being dragged into an alliance, nuclear alliance, by the USA, especially for the USA to deal with the Chinese kind of nuclear or defense potentials. I don't want to call it threat because I don't believe that Australia, which has got serious economic interests and involved in selling things to China, don't believe that Australia should be thinking of benefiting economically or environmentally by having this nuclear alliance with the USA. And the UK is not the leader of that treaty, which has been initiated by the USA, which is now concentrating on doing deals with India at the expense of various Southeast Asian countries, not because of economic benefits, but because of the defense alliance that it needs against China. So that's not benefiting the UK's economy as a result of the UK's withdrawal from the European Union. So Sikh Timothy is being typical lying, as is the daily bribing Boris Johnson graph. And the Murdoch scum is completely, typically stupid, running this idiotic piece by the criminal liar Trevor Kavanagh, spewing suitable anti-French plugs for Boris Johnson. Because the advantage that the European countries have, most of the European countries that are in the European Union have, is highlighted by the crisis in gas prices in the UK. Compared to the majority of the European countries, the storage of gas, 10 of times bigger in those countries than the UK. UK has got the smallest storage of gas. So the terrible Kavanagh is sick, poisonous liar. These are the people who write the papers or feature in the papers. So they are absolutely stooges, liars. They can't be expected to hold the government to account. So they are part of the darkness. So this is the Khoodeelaar campaign, Justice for Baby Angel Geronimo editions. What I'm doing here in this part, at this stage, is updating on the evidence in the context of the corrupt, criminal, cruel, unkind, illegal, prejudiced, biased, unconstitutional 4 years of attacks mounted against the most innocent baby angel Geronimo by the criminals operating from the UK government department DEFRA And the criminals in Fleet Street, the criminals in Fleet Street have been complicit in the crimes. Now, to some innocent people, if you like, innocent in the sense of those who don't know about the depth of the corruption that is Fleet Street, depth of the lying that is the British press and the media, they may have thought that some of the pieces about baby angel Geronimo published by, say, for example, the Observer, were almost kind of correct, but they are wrong. They were not correct. Because the Observer piece, for example, published in August, was totally artificial, superficial. It even compared baby angel Geronimo with the American original nation's leader, Geronimo. I mean, that was contradictory. That was completely stupid, because none of the actual criminality, none of the racism was actually discussed. And none of the imperial behavior by the imperialists in the subcontinent, for example, of India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, or in the African continent, was actually referred to, was mentioned whatsoever. It was like a superficial kind of joke. The depth of the lying and criminality and the murderous errand and the murderous plot over 4 years against baby angel Geronimo was not even mentioned. It was a stupid, gossipy piece in the Observer. And anyone who is familiar with campaigning in the UK against the decisions, corrupt decisions, criminal decisions of the UK government should know that campaigning is not effective in defending the innocents and defending the environment, defending the rights of people that are affected. Campaigning cannot be effective by making jokes. And for 4 years plus, the UK government has been allowed to almost on a daily basis invent a new line of lying against the most innocent baby angel Geronimo. And none of the coverage, if you like, if we take the kind of contents of the coverage collectively, in terms of the facts, in terms of the evidence, in terms of the law, none of Fleet Street has actually referred to the UK government department breaking the law. None of the coverage has even hinted at the possibility that breaking the law is a very serious, risky disservice, dysfunction, which should be grounds for removing the government, because it actually is threatening innocent lives like Geronimo. And in previous editions, we have talked about the various legal options and the various stages and types of defamation claims that were available, open to Helen MacDonald, Geronimo's mom. Today, we update on the commentary by pointing out that any petition that may be started, new petition that may be started about DEFRA is discredited will be discredited, made effectively illegitimate if the 4 years of harassment and criminality against baby angel Geronimo is exploited rather than being made the central focus for the campaign for justice. Any petition that may be beginning to be kind of launched by anyone which does not include as the focus the criminality, the conspiracy, the illegality, the cruelty, the violence plotted against the innocent, baby angel Geronimo will fail. That's number one. Number two is baby angel Geronimo is entitled to have independent, thorough, internationally supervised investigation into the corruption, criminality, and serial plots and lies that have been manufactured against him. The term global must be examined by examining the behavior of the UK government in conspiring against the innocent baby angel Geronimo. And this should be put to the whole world. The global conscience must be invoked to examine the criminality, the grotesque, brazen, open, illegal, persistent conspiracy against the most innocent baby angel Geronimo over 4 years. The global community of all the people who have got concerns for the rights of the innocent and concerns for the welfare of the innocent must be given the facts about the UK government and the government department, DEFRA, behaving in an unprecedented way against the most innocent baby angel Geronimo. That will be the test of global Britain. And this line that some weekend papers, including the lying Boris Graf, have published about Johnson's being painted as somebody who actually even cares about being judged. History will judge us. This criminal has persistently backed the criminal plot against the innocent baby angel Geronimo. He thinks that the criminality over 4 years against baby angel Geronimo is not something that he will be judged on. Well, I never believed that he should be judged on in the future. He should be judged now. And there should be demand, not pleas. No plea will make any difference to the response by the liar, Boris Johnson. This is not an ordinary liar. This liar planned to lie brazenly over so many issues. So he's a serial liar. He knows when he says a racist thing, when he says a thing against the people of Merseyside, or when he condemns people for wearing particular headgear, he knows that he is doing the wrong thing. But he also knows that he is doing the greedy thing that will get him votes. Now that is the fault of Fleet Street. Because none of the Fleet Street papers, including the Guardian, including the Daily Mirror, has yet to this date carried out any serious investigation into this lying career. And lying is deadly. What did Harold Shipman do? Harold Shipman serially lied as he murdered perfectly healthy patients. That is how serious lying is. It has to be stopped. Lying is not a joke. It's not a light matter. Defra knew that it was lying. Johnson knew it was lying. And they went along. And they kept lying. So anyone who believes or anyone who thinks that these people would listen to reason and please, of course, needs to look at the behavior, the record. These people are not ordinary, decent, moral people. These are evil persons. There is a thing called evil. There always is. So the moral persons, moral beings, response is to oppose the evil, oppose the injustice, oppose the cruelty, oppose the persecution of the most innocent baby angel Geronimo. That is what the world is about. When they go and form this alliance, Australia, UK, and USA, they too, in their version, invoke what they think is the good thing or the proper thing against China. That's what they're doing. But of course, they're wrong, because in their framework, in the Johnson framework, UK is in darkness, because he is being given complicity by the media and the so-called elected parliament. So he thinks that he's in the right, but he's not. What brings him to even say the thing that history will judge us? How dare he? He is the one who is the most brazen liar. After Trump left the White House, he remains the trumpeter liar of any description anywhere, in any office, in any state. He says the history will judge us. What about 4 years of persecuting baby angel Geronimo with lies, when Geronimo stands as the most impeccable, healthiest being anywhere who has been subjected to these years of lying? No record exists. No record exists anywhere that can be accessed or accessible to find any target, any single individual being targeted by so many lies for so long, so many criminally conceived, untruthful vilifications aimed at the most morally pure target, ethically pure target, biologically pure target. There is no record anywhere of a state claiming to be fronted by this criminal who now says that if climate change action is not taken, then history will judge us. He means himself and other so-called, occupants, incumbents in the posts of heads of governments. He's not head of state, because head of state is Brenda. So I make there a slight constitutional low point. And there is nobody. There has been nobody that has been seen to be coming forward, spontaneously seen to be coming forward to defend the most innocent target of these vilifications and lies and conspiracies and criminal vendetta. Vendetta against who? What has baby angel Geronimo done for anyone to even think that the baby angel Geronimo deserves to be targeted by vindictive people? Vindictive for what? Why? Today's newspapers, like this too, look at this one. I mean, they've got one on the footballer and the other on the actor. And the two of them are geniuses. And on the inside pages, they've got more space given to the racist Pierce moron having a go at the American singer, artist Nicki Minaj. And they've got 2 pages on the footballer Greaves. Yeah, they got 2 pages on Beckham, Beck's friend forever. Now this is sick. What good is it? What good is it that giving 2 pages to David Beckham, what good does it do to anything? And then there is a huge 1-page splash on the actor John Challis, known as Boycian, Only Fools and Horses. There is nothing in the Sun about the government breaking the law. Nothing whatsoever. And the Daily Mail has got two pages on GPs refusing to see patients face to face. And they've got 2 pages on the footballer Greaves. And it has got 2 pages promoting Boris Johnson. And it is lying that Johnson is to save the planet. And it is trailing, predicting that there will be a face-to-face meeting between Johnson and Jeff Bezos about taxes. But these are not serious issues that actually define the morality and the impact. That the decisions made in the name of the government, made in the name of the state, impact they have on society, on people, on the likes of Baby Angel Geronimo. They should have carried out, given the availability of the evidence that the government has been lying, they should have published the report. They didn't have to do any extra investigation. They should have done a straightforward reporting. Here are the facts of the behavior against Geronimo by DEFRA. Answer the questions. Why have you done this? What is the evidence against Baby Angel Geronimo on each of your lies? They could have said that. They're doing this every single day. Fleet Street newspapers carry stuff from PA News or PA Media. They don't even bother to look for in-depth evidence. They just repeat the thing. They rewrite the stuff. Sometimes they don't even rewrite the stuff they get from the PA Media. Well, in the context of domestic UK so-called news, most of the copy that people read in their so-called newspapers or newspaper, because most people read only one newspaper, if even that, because altogether the collected combined circulation, that is print circulation, is less than 1/10 of the population. And that includes even the internet. So most people in Little England are existing in absolutely kind of total darkness about the facts and the evidence of what is going on. So when something happens to a victim of injustice, a victim of negligence, something's done by the mainly UK central government department or mainly local council, or by the police or an agency similar to the police, or by a hospital or by a doctor, and it gets to the papers somehow, if it does, then the first thing that the papers carry is to do a heading saying stunned or horrified or terrified or terrorized. And they don't do that about the real terrifying criminality by the state, like the DEFRA behavior against baby Angel Geronimo, which they know about. So the so-called editor, the so-called news editor, so-called political editor, in place in most papers in name, are not doing their job. Not by the readers, not by the public, not by the society. They are lying. They are going along with the lies and the suppression and the denial and the conspiracy. Today's Daily Mail talks about the Afghan translators, let's say. Let's see what's saying. And this will be a comparison with the values. How many translators are they talking about? They're talking about just 99. Look at this, just 99 hero translators saved from the Taliban. What are the meaning? They're meaning that the Taliban are bad ones. And the UK government is the good one. That's not what baby Angel Geronimo has been subjected to. What we have been saying, the comparison with the Taliban is absolutely current. Because if the Taliban are the bad ones that are targeting the innocent for murder, what's the difference? The very UK government, which is being painted in this kind of coverage as the saviors of the victims of the Taliban, has been doing worse than the Taliban, because the Taliban have not been targeting these translators in anything remotely comparable to the way that the DEFRA has been targeting baby Angel Geronimo, with the complicity and the collusion of the likes of the political murderer of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer, and his criminal frontbench crook, Wes Streeting. Anyone who says that the Tories are bad for the country needs to pause and think about what they are meaning. The Tories are, of course, bad. But that means that if you remove the Tories from positions of power, then things will be okay. Absolute rubbish. Things will not be okay. So what the demand should be is to remove the ideology of cruelty, criminality. Cruelty and criminality is personified by West treating. The crook boy, who is currently MP for Ilford, one Ilford constituency, either Ilford South or Ilford North, we can check that one. That criminal didn't even hesitate before he said that the plot to murder the innocent baby angel Geronimo was something he supported. This is the same West treating who has been getting himself featured as a supporter of the victims of the Holocaust. What's the difference? What's the difference between the plot against baby angel Geronimo, hatched by and perpetrated by the liars at DEFRA and backed by the liars at number 10 Downing Street and elsewhere? What's the difference between targeting a victim like baby angel Geronimo and the Nazis targeting a child for murder? There is a difference. The difference is that while the victims of the Holocaust were not being kind of witnessed as they were being kind of targeted by the Nazis, baby angel Geronimo has been openly targeted for 4 years by the criminals at DEFRA. So there is an opportunity, 4-year-long opportunity that has been available for opponents of criminality like that to come forward and take the necessary stand to stop the plot, stop the plotters. It stands to reason that anyone who is correctly concerned about the Holocaust should be asked the question, what would they do? What would they have done if they were within range of helping, being able to help and save the targets of the Nazis' Holocaust? And of course, they would answer the question by saying, yes, we'd do whatever we could to save them, which should be treated as the humanitarian response, the correct response. So what have they been doing, the Fleet Street ones, when they've been told that an absolutely innocent baby angel Geronimo has been the target of lies and lying propaganda during the last 4 years plus? What would they say, for example, if families, if any of the families, any of the relatives, because most of Herald Shipman's victims were, or many of them, or significant numbers of them were elderly people in the senior age groups. But they were not dangerously ill or about to be kind of naturally dying. They were murdered by shipmen. If any of the victims' relations had become aware that their relation, their loved ones, were being targeted by this criminal posing as the doctor. Of course, they would have taken action. Of course, they would have done everything to prevent the crime, the murder. Each time, each one. So, what did baby angel Geronimo do for 4 years? That people who knew that he was being targeted by an evil, defra crew of criminals, murderers, why didn't they take the definitive action to stop the criminals at any time during the 4 years? Why? Now, this piece about just 99 hero translators saved from the Taliban contains this bit. It quotes a man called Major Ed Aitken, who served in Afghanistan and is a founding member of the Alliance. The Alliance is the Sulha Alliance, which campaigns for the interpreters and their resettlement. He has confirmed over this Sulha Alliance has confirmed only 99 of the men who stood shoulder to shoulder with the UK military were flown out with their families. Many others were left behind. Major Ed Aitken, who served in Afghanistan, he is a founder member of the alliance that is Sulha Alliance, said ministers had refused to provide transparency on numbers. Ministers have refused to provide transparency on numbers. Numbers of the people who have saved the lives of British soldiers occupying in Afghanistan, and British soldiers and others part of the British and American occupation. And this Major Ed Aitken added, the people that told the British public, well, there is a editing mess up there, but I'll read this as it is printed. The people that told the British public that they were evacuating, for the most part, were left behind. And we are now seeing them being hunted by the Taliban and abandoned by the UK government. The government's inability to provide the numbers of former interpreters that were evacuated means we can only conclude that they don't know who they have evacuated, that is the UK government. In summary, it's an embarrassing mess of a situation. Embarrassing mess of a situation. This is the Daily Mail being patriotic. It's not telling the truth, even though it is actually using part of the truth about the betrayal of the translators by the UK government. Major Aitken highlighted the lack of individual support for those stuck in Afghanistan and the turning off of the main contact email address between the translators and the Ministry of Defense. He said the alliance was also tracking the cases of 88 former interpreters, many now British citizens, who became trapped after going to collect their wives and children. Major General Charlie Herbert, a former British commander in Helmand, who has worked alongside the alliance, said the number of hugely vulnerable Afghans who were eligible for evacuation but were left behind, often without being called forward to the evacuation center, is quite staggering. This is not a statement made by anyone campaigning for the innocent baby angel Geronimo. These are military people who are forced to condemn the behavior of the Johnson-fronted cabal, betraying, abandoning, neglecting, and even blocking desperate people from contacting by email because they have switched off the email address. The Ministry of Defense, like DEFRA, has switched off the communications. So this is evil. This is darkness, this is injustice, and the people who got trapped there going to fetch their children and wives left behind. These are people that have been left behind. And the Taliban are hunting them. The Taliban are hunting them, and their fate is absolutely beyond description, beyond horrifying, because of the vengeance that exists, the sense of vengeance and the vendetta. So when the baby angel Geronimo was first targeted, who were the people that did anything about using the existing constitutional law avenues to protect him, protect his innocence, protect him from the dark age violence that DEFRA was plotting against him? Who were the people? What did they do? This is a question, not a condemnation. This is a question as to what did the people do? The Observer piece that referred to the American original nations leader, Geronimo, described the people standing in apparent solidarity with the target of the DEFRA lies and plots. Let's see if we can find the this is the piece that is dated here as Sunday the 15th of August 2021, and it's byline to Anthony Andrew, or Andrew Anthony. And he starts with this original nations leader, Geronimo. He says, for more than a century, the name Geronimo belonged to a leader of the Apache people in New Mexico, who was held as a prisoner of war and subject to public exhibition. But in recent weeks, the name has had to share ownership with an alpaca from New Zealand, who is a prisoner on a South Gloucestershire farm amid a conflict with the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, and via a live webcam feed on display to the world. That is how he starts, and that is how he goes on. But the description of baby angel Geronimo doesn't include the evidence, itemized evidence of the 4 years of targeted lying against him. And it gives the names of some people, and the picture is there. Protesters demonstrating against DEFRA's ruling in London last week. It doesn't talk about the illegality of DEFRA. And that was the piece that was described as a lovely piece in one of the posts that was posted on the Facebook account, I think, on the run in the name of baby angel Geronimo. And what that piece actually shows, because it was called a lovely piece, is that there has been far more, many times more, tens of times more fact and evidence. Fact and evidence that actually have justifiably warranted a very strong opposition to be mounted to the DEFRA plot and the criminality of the government. That has been acknowledged, even in that piece. And as we said before, the only way to stop the UK government doing a crime is by mobilizing in overwhelming numbers, and the momentum has to be absolutely overwhelming. Now, what has stopped such a mobilization? Because our campaign is only doing a moral, ethical, legal solidarity from a distance. We don't have any access to what actually went on in the last 4 years among the people that have been near baby angel Geronimo in the 4 years, or have been concerned about. But we say there should have been overwhelming campaign for justice for baby angel Geronimo, for everyone's sake, for his sake, and for everyone's sake. We are not visiting, as far as we can manage, we are not visiting any social media posts or accounts for reasons that we shall be explaining another time, not this time. But the 4 years is what we are concerned about, explaining, understanding, exploring. we shall try to find the latest reference to this phrase, history will judge us. Apparently quoting Johnson, because all the evidence that we have seen, over the last, let's say, 20 years of Johnson, all the evidence shows what people like Tim Walker, like Max Hastings, even including some who are or have been employed by Fleet Street titles. All the evidence shows that Boris Johnson is a liar. It's not something that needs to be queried. And the role played by Fleet Street has been almost without any exception damaging to the existence of society, the existence of accountability, the existence of justice in this country. So on the 24th of March 2013, The Guardian online published this one. Boris Johnson accused, "You are a nasty piece of work." And there was this video. And the source was the Andrew Marr show, Sunday the 24th of March 2013. And this is the...
Let me ask you about some of the things that came up in the documentary.
Right. I haven't seen it, so you...
No, but this happened in your life, so you know about this. The Times let you go after you made up a quote. Why did you make up a quote?
Well, this again, you know, these are big terms for what happened. Well, I can tell you the whole thing. I mean, I think are you sure our viewers wouldn't want to hear more about?
All right. If you don't want to talk about
it was a long and lamentable story.
Okay, but you made it which?
Well, what happened was that I ascribed events that were supposed to have taken place before the death of Piers Gaveston to events that actually took place after the death.
You made something up. Let me ask you about another little...
I mildly sandpapered something.
Let me ask you about a barefaced lie.
Very embarrassing. I'm very sorry about
Let me ask you about a barefaced lie. When you were in Michael Howard's team, you denied to him you were having an affair. It turned out you were. And he sacked you for that. Why did you lie to your partner?
Well, I mean, again, on that, I never had any conversation with Michael Howard about that matter, and I don't.
You did lie.
Well, I don't propose to go into all that again.
I don't blame you.
No, well, why should I? I mean, I've been through, that question a lot with the
Okay.
Watch the documentary.
Okay.
Why don't we talk about something else?
The program also includes. Well, this is about your integrity.
Okay.
The program includes your reaction as you listen to a phone call, in which your friend Darius Guppy asks you to supply the address of a journalist,
Yes.
so that he can have him physically assaulted. The words "beaten up" and "broken ribs" are said to
Yes.
him. And you, having heard that, you tell your friend Darius Guppy you will supply the address. What does that say about you, Boris Johnson?
Well,
Aren't you, in fact, making up quotes, lying to your party leader, wanting to be part of someone being physically assaulted. You're a nasty piece of work, aren't you?
Well, Eddie, I think all three things I would dispute.
Well, you don't factually dispute them.
Well, I do, and I could, if we had a long time, which we don't, I could explain that I think all three interpretations you're putting on those things aren't wholly fair. And certainly the final thing which you raise, which is the case of my old friend Darius. Yes, it was certainly true that he was in a bit of a state, and I did humour him in a long phone conversation, from which absolutely nothing eventuated.
Whenever you're asked about Prime Minister, and goodness knows Michael Cochrane had to go, you obfuscate. Well, I want to be a pop star, I want to be a painter, I want to do all of those things. But you've never actually said, well, what is clearly plain as a pikestaff. Of course, like many politicians, you want to be Prime Minister. Why don't you just say the words? What's the problem?
Look, what I want is to spend the next my time remaining as mayor to do as well as I can as mayor of London. I've got 3 and a bit years to go. I also hang on,
he was making your inability to give a straight answer to a straight question.
I think people would rightly conclude that I don't want to talk about this subject because I want to talk about what I think should happen, which is the government deserves to win the next election.
So he's talking about the interpretations, but he didn't deny any of the actual events. And then he becomes dishonestly engaged in wishing the Conservatives to win the next election. That's not the answer to the question that he's a nasty piece of work. And he was nasty as represented by the spokesperson in Downing Street, who spoke to the Daily Mail's Josh White about the DEFRA conspiracy against baby angel Geronimo. These are people like Boris Johnson, West Streeting, and Keir Starmer. These are the people that are either in posts or are likely to be in posts in the name of the government in this country. And they're all cruel people, all dishonest people, all unjust people. That is why baby angel Geronimo has been targeted by evil people, lying people, cruel people. And there has been no evidence that any of the cruelty, any of the illegality, any of the brazen criminality by the government, the UK government, aimed at the innocent baby angel Geronimo, has been given any space in any of the Fleet Street papers or in any of the broadcasting counterparts of Fleet Street. And this account that I have read from in the Daily Mail today about how the UK government has been neglecting the hero translators and other Afghan people who have helped the British in Afghanistan. This is the tip of the iceberg. But this tip of the iceberg is not the only extent of the evidence of the cruelty and criminality and betrayal and injustice epitomized and embodied by the persons who are either prime minister or minister in departments or so-called civil servants that the Daily Mail knows about, the Mail on Sunday knows about, the Sun knows about, the Guardian knows about, the Observer knows about. and the Times knows about, but they have not been publishing the facts, which means that the Fleet Street papers are as much part of the darkness as is the law-breaking, criminally conspiring UK government fronted by Boris Johnson. This is the kind of stuff that this scum focuses on. What is the genius? That is fine. That is the genius and the overhyped promotion of David Beckham. What does it do to the quality, if there is any? The quality, the standard of government. When the Financial Times published this piece by Chris Cook on the who posted it online, on the 30th of August. UK officials are going to great lengths. UK officials are going to great lengths to keep their secret secret. Now, when he wrote that and posted it, dated the 30th of August 2021, he started the article, which was printed in the Financial Times on the 31st of August, and he started by referring to this one. He said that a judge, he didn't name the judge, but we found the name of the judge by following the link that he had. He said that back in 15, the judge castigated two. He said the judge was Mr. Justice Charles in a tribunal. And I think the date of the publication of that particular judgment was in July 2015, which is 2 years before baby angel Geronimo arrived in the UK from New Zealand, where he was a beloved member of Leonie Walker's family. Now, Chris Cook wrote that two civil servants were castigated by the judge. And the judge actually is called Mr. Justice Charles in the tribunal. So what we said in a previous broadcast is this. And a piece byline to the current president named as I, Stephanie Boyce, 2 days later in the Financial Times. What we say by referring to those two pieces is that it is not a secret criminal offense. It's not a secret that criminal offenses are being committed by the UK state openly. And the open breaking of the law and laws and criminality by the state is the proof that we are in the depths of darkness, dark age, and in dark instead of in the light, being in the light. And we said that Keir Starmer is politically dead. And the fact that he is politically dead confirms that we are in the depth of darkness. So what happened when Margaret Thatcher was faced with what was called the called the riots in Trafalgar Square? There was one incident of demonstrations, and this was described as the riots in Trafalgar Square. One event. And that actually played a very serious part in stopping the poll tax that Thatcher was plotting and other cons were plotting. That is the measure of action that is needed for the UK state to pay heed to the actual rejection of its behavior, opposition to its behavior. So that was in 1990, which is 31 years ago, approximately. And in the 31 years, there has been no such event. Going back, there were events in early 1981, I think, the so-called Bristol riots. Now, Bristol is not far from Baby Angel Geronimo's home in South Gloucestershire. And the outlet called Bristol Lies that has been peddling, spewing the lies on behalf of DEFRA is in the vicinity. Well, located in the vicinity. But Bristol riots were followed by confrontations with the police and demonstrators in Brixton in London, South London in Lambeth, and some in West London, some in Liverpool. And the Scarman report, the Scarman inquiry was commissioned by Thatcher, and Scarman published the report. It wasn't a petition. The people who confronted the police representing the UK state didn't need a kind of inquiry or a petition. Well, there was an inquiry, but that was a differently kind of propelled inquiry. Nothing Nothing had taken place for 4 years prior to those riots, so-called. If in the way that the rioters actually experienced or the rioters opposed, it was obviously a long-standing racist, hostile kind of treatment of black people, but not as brazen and as open and as wanton as the criminality being brazenly, openly, defiantly, criminally asserted against a known baby angel Geronimo. So the questions include why has 4 years of attacks on baby angel Geronimo, why hasn't it been opposed by a bigger, powerful expression of opposition to the injustice that has been seen in the farm where baby angel Geronimo has been staying? Why hasn't been such an outpouring of rejection, opposition to years of open criminal attacks aimed at baby angel Geronimo? Did anyone consult about organizing a UK-wide, worldwide opposition to these attacks on the most innocent baby angel Geronimo? Did anyone advise? And why did they advise against such a mobilization? We shall be concluding this one at 10:34 hours GMT on Monday, the 20th of September 2021. We shall continue in due course, of course.